everyone! Today I'm going to walk you through the basics of outlining and flooding a cookie. Now you don't need anything crazy to get started, just 2 bags of icing. You'll need your outline consistency and your flood consistency. If you missed my last video on the difference between those two, your outline consistency is going to just be a little bit stiffer. It's going to be like a retaining wall for your flood consistency that will settle down onto the cookie perfectly smoothly. So grab your outline bag and we'll get started. Okay, so start off by cutting a small hole in the tip of your outline consistency bag. Then you're going to do just that. You're going to outline the entire cookie, trying to stay as close to the edge as possible. This is the point in your decorating process that's the most forgiving, so do not stress about it. If anything, you can scrape it off and start again. I try to outline in one fluid line wherever I can. That's going to be the point of those loops that you're seeing there. I find it gives a neater end result, but do whatever you're comfortable with. I've also found that it's easier to control where the icing lands when I hover my piping tip about, let's say, 1/2 inch to 1 inch above the cookie. But again, do what works for you. So you're just going to bring that icing all the way around the cookie until it meets back up with itself, and then you've got a nice sturdy area to hold in your flood. Now when you flood your cookie, the most important thing to keep in mind is that this is a looser icing than your outline, and it's got a bit of a mind of its own. The outline itself is there to help keep your icing contained, but if you go overboard with the pressure, it will also go overboard. Start with some light pressure and let gravity do the work for you. I like to follow my outline around the cookie, and I try to overlap my line ever so slightly to help mask the outline line as much as I can. Your icing should settle into itself pretty completely, but if it's being stubborn, you can always manipulate it a bit with your scribe tool or toothpick or even the tip of your piping bag to help it get into place. In this situation, I do not hover my piping bag above the cookie, not even a millimeter more than I need to. I don't touch the cookie with my piping bag, but I get pretty dang close. And I feel like that helps me get a lot more control of where my icing settles at that point. Once you've worked your way completely around, start filling in towards the middle. Take your time, but do realize that the flood icing will crust over, and it'll be a little bit harder to work into itself if you take too long. But before you know it, you'll have a beautifully iced cookie. Flood icing does take about 24 hours to dry completely, so if your decorating process ends here, you'll be ready to package up your cookie tomorrow, or you can do what my husband and children do and just enjoy it right away. Great job.